Were the crack cocaine of gambling.
I did say that.
And how does that square with what you're telling me today?
Not everybody who uses crack cocaine becomes addicted.
Yeah, but nobody's going to sit here and try to tell me crack cocaine isn't addictive. And if this is like crack cocaine, the conclusion is that it's addictive.
So I don't come to the same conclusion because
How could you
the
not?
majority of people that have used cocaine have not developed cocaine addiction. Only a small minority have. And the same would be true with gambling.
The problem is that small minority that does get addicted is hit hard.
You are getting a little dose of gambling in your brain every 3 seconds. It's a gambling IV. And there's a drip, drip, drip.
Doctors Robert Breen and Henry Lasser are gambling addiction specialists at Rhode Island Hospital. They've treated 1,300 slot addicts who, when they try to stop, look like heroin addicts in withdrawal.
And they're coming in and they could quit literally. They have shakes. The cravings are they're physically having these responses, and you tell yourself it's got to be they got to be on something.
Yeah.
And it turns out that they're withdrawing from the gambling.
Slots in particular. Yeah. And yet, state after state is turning to slots as an easy way to raise revenue and increase jobs. And no state has been more aggressive in luring gaming in the last few years than Pennsylvania, where the opening of the Sugar House in September made Philadelphia the largest U.S. city to house a casino. So far, there are 10 gambling halls in the state with plans for 61,000 slot machines. An 11th casino on the drawing board would be close to the main entrance of the Gettysburg National Battlefield. Governor Ed Rendell, who's about to leave office, championed the casinos.
Look, gambling is not anything we should say, oh, thank Lord we have gambling. But it is a decent way to raise revenue where the upsides that's produced is significantly better than any downside that comes from it.
You said there were downsides to gaming. What are they?
The biggest downside is that some people lose their paychecks. But understand, Leslie, they're not losing their paychecks because Pennsylvania instituted gaming. Those people were losing their paychecks in Atlantic City, in Delaware, at the racetracks,
So why not lose
or in
it
West
here?
Virginia. Well, if they're going to lose it anyway, let's get the upside. We were getting all the downside and none of the upside.
The upside, he says, is the $1 billion the state got in gambling revenue last year, which was used to provide a $200 a home property tax reduction, plus more relief for senior citizens.
People have been gambling since organized society was formed on the banks of the Tigris and the Euphrates. They were gambling. And they will gamble as long as there is life on this planet. And that's a fact.
No one's saying that people can't gamble. This is about government using gambling to prey on human weakness for profit.
Les Bernal is head of the national organization Stop Predatory Gambling. He and Massachusetts State Senator Sue Tucker have been fighting a move to bring casinos and slot parlors to the Bay State.
We're in the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. And the daily voice of government to most Americans is, we're gonna push casinos and we're gonna push lottery tickets.
Well, but you have a situation where states are desperate. They're way over budget. They have to find revenue somewhere. They know people will gamble.
As a revenue raiser, it defies every principle. It's regressive. In other words, it takes far more money out of lower income people's pockets than higher income. It is cannibalistic. In other words, it eats other forms of revenue. When you have your citizens dumping $2 billion down the slots, they're not buying a new car, and you lose that tax.
You brought these casinos to the state. Do you ever just say to yourself, oh my God, there are a lot of people who are suffering, and they're taking whatever money they have,
You don't listen.
and they're
You don't
throwing
listen.
it away in these casinos. And do you ever just say, oh, what have I done?
Don't listen. Anyone who has that bent would be doing it in other places had Pennsylvania not legalized gambling.
The counter-argument is that you're creating new gamblers. Then lots of new
You're not
gamblers.
creating new gamblers.
Well, because it's down the street. I mean, just logically.
Those people play the lottery. They bet
But they
on
wouldn't
football. How
necessarily.
much money is bet on the Super Bowl?
People are losing money for the state to get its revenue. They're losing money.
Let me answer this. I've always known you for 2 or 3 decades. You're a very smart person.
But not now.
But you're not getting it.
I'm dumb now.
You're not getting it. Those people would lose that money anyway. Don't you understand?
Our pressing him on this point led to this.
You guys don't get that.
I do get it.
You're simpletons. You're idiots if you don't get that.
We couldn't figure out why all the emotion, but his main point was that gambling is good entertainment and people should be allowed to make their own decisions about it. But since the first casino opened in Pennsylvania 5 years ago, calls to gambling addiction hotlines in the state have tripled. Sandy Hall says her problems didn't start till 3 casinos opened near her.
I cannot read my local newspaper without having full-page ads of upcoming events and slot play and free this and free that. The exposure is phenomenal because of the proximity of 3 casinos.
Fewer than 25% of Massachusetts residents went out of state to
That's a
gamble.
lot of people.
75% didn't.
I know, but
That's
25%.
the group the industry wants. They want the 75% that can get on the tee and go to a nearby casino and get in trouble with gambling. That's the playbook.
Doesn't